Yeah, that's sad.
Is that appropriate?
But true. Sad but true. Hitting home.
So, Den Man, what's happening, man? What's going on in your world?
It's been lots of stuff going on. A little surgery action on the better half's worst leg, so to speak. Finally, a description of it, which made sense to me. In the
not on the worst half's best leg.
That's right. That would be my right leg.
Yes.
This is my better half's worst leg.
Okay.
And he said, look, the meniscus is shaped like a C, and your joint goes up against it. It's attached on either end of the C. Those are called roots, and they connect that meniscus to your bone structure. And one of yours broke. And I said, that explains the pop. And he said, exactly. And he reattached it with a stitch and then sewed her back up. And now she cannot put any pressure on the leg for 6 solid weeks. She can't even go in the water immersed without using her leg for 2 weeks. Or
so
it won't heal.
Crutches is the...
Crutches, wheelchair, walker, which we happen to have in abundance here. We are an all-purpose health facility, health and aging facility.
Yes.
But it's coming in handy. So, a buddy of mine who I did some work for, I don't know if I told you this story, but he, back in the day, he had a serious injury that was to his hip, I believe. And so a buddy of his gave him a chair that the buddy had that was electric, that would not only recline flat like a bed, but would raise you up tall, standing.
Yes.
And lift you.
They're called lift chairs. I used to sell them.
Did you? You used to sell them?
Well, I used to build the website for a company that sold them.
No kidding. What a connection we have.
Yes. In the UK, they're called riser recliners, which is stupid because the UK is stupid.
Like we need to know both functions.
Right, exactly.
Riser recliner. That makes sense. A double R.
Yeah. But yes, they're called.
So Nikki she is in that chair, cool. And it stands her right up to her crutches, and she's getting the hang of it. She's a trooper. It was a 40-minute procedure, oroscopic.
Man, and that is not. Yeah. That's not bad for what that is. Like, I'm always blown away by modern medical science about how, like, if that had happened 100 years ago, you'd just be fucked.
Well,
like,
yeah.
You
the rest of your life.
Yeah.
She was starting to heal. She was starting to heal with a limp, but it didn't hurt anymore, and she could bend her leg a while, but it'd been 6 weeks. So her body was adapting to the injury. They had that leg wrap like she's a mummy. Oh, my God. It's big. And she's doing well. She's learning crutches. I was on crutches a long time. Long time. 9 months. 9 months. And then I had a walking cast, which kept breaking.
So you could beat her at a race at the moment.
Back in the day, I wouldn't even want to try now. That would be ridiculous. But I probably could, yes, if I had them. If I had a little bit of time to adjust. I was good with them. The trick is you got to keep them close to your feet. You can't put the crutch way out like you're a giant figure A, because that opens you up to twice as much bump area.
What are we keeping close to our feet?
The crutches.
The crutches, yeah. Okay.
You don't want to be spread-legged with the crutches, because that's just a chair that was 8 inches away suddenly is in play, where if they were closer to your leg, it wouldn't be.
Okay.
See what I'm saying?
Welcome to our crutches racing podcast.
Well,
where it's important.
I've got strategy. I got a few notes here. I need a crutch like that just to be able to remember where I'm at.
Well, I mean, I feel like I'm your crutch. mentally.
My favorite series would be Captain Crunch.
Your very favorite cereal?
Cereal back in the day.
You said series, but the so I've been watching this the restart of one of my favorite TV shows ever, called Black Mirror.
And is this a completely new series of episodes, or is it a repeat?
No, this is a complete, all new episodes.
Reboot.
Well, so the first few seasons, as we say in America, were like 5-episode series, as they say in the UK, in England. And then eventually Netflix bought them and did a couple more with them. But then there was some legal dispute about the ownership of the show, and it was just recently resolved. And so the creator was able to go back and make some new ones and
pick up where they left off.
But yes, but it's one of these shows where every episode is its own little world. Like, there's no overarching theme storyline. Like, the characters are all new every time.
Is it a bunch of short stories on film?
Look, the best possible way that I can describe it to you is that it is the creepy sci-fi show
Twilight Zone.
It's Twilight Zone, where every Twilight Zone was its own unique show. So right. It's that, but modernized.
Yes, and that's exactly what my question was, and you answered it indirectly at best, but it's now resolved. So it wasn't a series in the sense of episodic. It's more just it is a collection.
Yes. This particular dump, because that's the way Netflix does things, was 5 episodes.
Black Magic? Black Magic?
Black Mirror.
Oh, Black Mirror.
The metaphor is relating to how we are staring at our phones all the time and how that leads to evil. And that's the original metaphor, and it keeps going. But
yikes. That would affect a few people.
Yeah, so there are so many different takes. A lot of the previous ones were what they call like near future sci-fi. That's what I used to love about Michael Crichton was he would take stuff that is like totally possible scientifically now, and then like push it like, what if we could do this one other extra thing?
Right.
And that's how you get Jurassic Park and those things. And so a lot of it was that near future sci-fi where it doesn't take a lot to buy into, oh, these people are just doing things that I do, but now there's this other little extra bit of like there was one episode where there were like drone like insect bees that could like fly around and like spy on you and things like that. And after watching this whole new 5-episode season, I went back and I watched what is generally considered to be one of the most mind-fucking episodes of all of them, which is the episode is called "The Entire History of You" or something like that. And the premise is, what if at any time you could go and rewatch video of what your eyes saw at any time during your life? Which is like what a superpower. Like I could go back and rewatch that lecture. I could go and remember what it was when my kid when my kid first took his first steps, or
there we go.
Any of that stuff. But what ends up happening is it devolves into this what was that look that you gave to that other guy at the dinner party the other night? And the other important feature is not only can you replay it all within your own retinas, you can like project it onto a television. So you can be like, hey. Look at what I saw. And
crazy.
You can
so it's horrible.
And you can replay everything that's ever happened. It's the fucking worst. And then it devolves into so you remember when you said that that you had this one fling with this is the husband talking. Remember when you said you had this one fling with this guy in Marrakesh, and the woman's like, yeah, I told you about that. It was like a week or whatever. She said, yeah, that was like a month. And he was like, no, you said that was a week. And she was like, no. And then he like rewinds and shows her, you said it was a fucking week. And she's like, oh, well, geez, I'm sorry. It wasn't more than that. Anyway, they go to the point where it just destroys relationships, because the ability to not only to go back and show what everyone has ever spoken to you, to like throw that in their face of like, you said this and now you're claiming this other thing. Not only that, but you can get to the point of like, oh yeah, well, show me what happened that night from your point of view. Project that onto the television right now.
Oh God, yes.
And that shit gets dark as fuck. And so anyway, that's one of the, because it feels like we're so close to that, right? We have these new goggles coming out that are going to be recording shit, and it feels like we're so close to that future. And what I love about Black Mirror is that it shows all of the ways that what seems like innocent good technology will totally fuck
astray.
us. Yes.
Gone
so
awry.
Anyway, that's my pitch. Okay. Let me quickly. The first
footnote.
Yes.
Or as an epilogue.
It's a prologue, because I'm in favor of logs. The first episode of this new one that blew everyone's mind was because Netflix owns this show now. They were able to poke fun at themselves in this crazy way. So the first episode was, here's the premise. Imagine you go to work and you have sort of a shitty day at work, and you had to fire someone, and you're just middle management. So you're just like relaying the news that this person's fired, and you come home and you turn on your TV and you're browsing for shows with your boyfriend, and there's this show, and your name is Joan, and there's this show called Joan is Awful, and it sort of looks like you, but the person is played by Salma Hayek. Okay, and so and your boyfriend is like, what the hell is this? She kind of looks like you, and let's see what this is. And you start to watch, and it replays your whole fucking day, played by celebrities, showing all the shitty things that you did that day to other people, and then and part of your day was going to your therapist, where you talked about how, I'm not so sure how much I love my boyfriend. I had such a good time with my ex, and you're there sitting on the couch watching that with your boyfriend, and anyway, it goes from there. But like
And is it done like the show has a soundtrack, like a laugh track? Is it?
No. There's no laugh track, but then like everyone sees that night, and then you go into work the next day, and everyone has seen your previous day displayed with your worst aspects like embellished, and it just keeps going on and on. So I'm sure I've
commit suicide.
I'm sure I've mentioned this, that no, she comes up with a more creative exit strategy that I won't spoil. But I'm sure I've mentioned that we are coming so close to having our own AI generated television for us, where we're going to be like, I want a murder mystery with Jennifer Aniston and Leonardo DiCaprio and et cetera, and you can just name people that you want to see on the TV show, and it will be able to generate that for you. And when you get bored, when it notices that you get bored, as Netflix already does, it will learn that, oh, okay, Dennis doesn't like this particular plot twist. The next time we'll do a different one.
How do they know that? What are you hooked up to?
Already they know when you pause, they know they know that you paused at a particular point in the show, and or if you left that episode. So they know that this is right after so and so says this horrible thing.
You
like 20% of people leave.
Right. I got you.
Bail.
So it's an observation of reaction rather than
right. But also it's also personalized. So when you open Netflix, which you don't, but the royal you, some other people that are listening, you're going to see the same shows. Well, no, you're going to see shows suggested to you based on your previous watching experience. But for the same show, they're going to show you a different image to click on. So if they know that you are that you really like blonde women, they're going to show the particular actress that stars in that show to you, as opposed to other people where they're going to show something else. So it's kind of wild that like that's already being done, and I can't fault them for it, because it's super fucking clever that they can figure that out and do that too, because we're in this attention economy where everyone, like, the thing that is scarce is attention, and if you can figure out how to get people to listen or watch or whatever, pay attention to you, then you win. Which is why this sentence has not ended yet, and we're going to keep going until I decide that the sentence is over, and then we might discuss something that you want to talk about.
Well, this is fascinating, utterly fascinating.
Indeed.
I particularly liked it when you described it the way they pronounce it in the UK.
They say Netflix. So we have to talk about this week's news, the biggest thing in all the news.
Taylor Swift fell off the stage.
Did she? Poor thing.
Yeah, well,
I love her. I was just practicing one of her songs before we connected. Is she okay?
This was a while ago. Yeah, she was caught, of course, by adoring fans, I'm sure.
Oh, a while ago. Okay, so that's not this week's news.
Well, silly. You said the most important news, so it struck a note, because
At the time it was anyway. Bad example. Sorry.
Today I walked to the grocery store listening to a
That
podcast talking
is
about
amazing.
a topic. And when I got to the grocery store, everyone in the grocery store was talking about that exact topic. What's the topic?
Today,
This is in Spain.
in Spain.
But it's global. I was listening to Americans on the podcast.
Did you win the soccer?
No.
What?
Have you heard about the submarine?
Oh, whoa. The lost Titanic? The one that got lost looking at Titanic?
As we record and before I publish this, in theory, the people on the submarine have like 15, 20 hours of oxygen left.
Right, and they hear a tapping.
So by the time I publish this, they will be ex-submariners.
Or survivors.
That seems super unlikely.
They heard knocking today.
Yeah, what they heard was something that happened every 30 minutes. They heard some vibrations. But hearing knocking and finding the darn thing are two very different things.
Call darn it.
My guess is that there's two possibilities. We will never know what happened to this particular submarine until like 100 years from now, when someone like freaking finds it on the seafloor, or they very quickly imploded and died immediately, and that is the best possible scenario I can imagine. But they're not getting rescued.
Where did the Titanic go down exactly? In
the North Atlantic.
Way north.
It's off the coast of like Nova Scotia.
Right. And so what's Spain's connection with that?
None.
Just that it's world.
It's just international news.
Okay, right. I thought there was something more on a.
No. It's just the news that everyone is talking about, because it's
right.
It's the most interesting because people love. It's like the miners that were lost, or Baby Jessica, or Balloon Boy, or those things where it's like, this person is probably dead, but they might not
Maybe
be.
Not.
And let's talk about it and figure out all the ways we can.
So you say
talk about
people love that, but it's like this abhorrent love.
Oh yeah. It's the worst part of media. Like, if it bleeds, it leads. Like, people want to talk about the worst possible shit. Like, no one wants to talk about this grandmother that saved a bunch of butterflies, and the local kindergarten, came and was all. It's like that's not news. That's not a news story. People don't click on that shit. People click on, this person is probably dead, but there's a chance that someone will rescue them. But let's all imagine the worst. I don't know. That's like, do you remember Balloon Boy?
But yeah, the boy lived in the balloon, right? They did a movie about it with
no.
Jake.
Balloon Boy was this thing that happened in 2009, and I watched it live. The idea was that this family had built this homemade balloon that like resembled a flying saucer, and that their 6-year-old son had somehow become trapped inside it, and it had like started floating away. And everyone was like, oh God, how do we get that little boy out of the balloon? And it was it felt like a whole day. It was probably only like 6 hours or something. It was like the biggest thing that everyone cared about. And turns out it was a hoax. Like the boy was never in the balloon. But it had everyone fucking raptured for a good while.
Did they show some?
You could see live footage of the balloon in the sky. Like people were following along with the balloon, but they were like,
but could you see a shadow of a boy in the balloon?
No, it was like he was like in an enclosed place.
A basket.
But it like a basket, but they were like, well, we can't shoot it down, but also it's getting super high, so like, can he breathe? And anyway, it flew.
Never there.
It flew for 50 miles, according to Wikipedia.
And then what?
And then landed 12 miles northeast of Denver Airport.
No boy anywhere to be found.
Where the boy was not found inside, and it was reported that an object had been seen falling from the balloon. A search was begun. Later that day, the boy was found hiding in the attic of his home. He had apparently been there in the entire time. But like, I don't even know if the parents really knew that it was a hoax. I think the parents might have been actually freaked out that we can't find our son, and we just had a balloon in our yard that just took off accidentally, and oh my God, he's probably in there. But
right.
Anyway,
no, I this is all news to me, man. This is all news. This is 2006, did you say?
2009. I followed this shit in real time live. I remember.
Where was it again?
I didn't get much work done that day. October 15th, 2009. It was above Fort Collins, Colorado.
Colorado.
A gas balloon shaped to resemble a silver flying saucer was released into the atmosphere. And they claimed that their 6-year-old son, Falcon, poor kid's name, was trapped inside. Authorities claim the balloon reached 7,000 feet during its 90-minute flight. It was only 90 minutes. God, it felt like hours.
Uh-huh.
Anyway,
well, but still real time. It
was exhilarating.
What part of your morning?
Afternoon for me, but yes, morning for them. But yes, it was. How do we get here from the submarine? Yeah, the submarine is
it's big news, and you had listed out some of the similar type big news, many of which I was familiar with, and one of which I wasn't, which was this one. That was the tangent. That was the tree from which it blossomed. This conversation.
Other big news. What about POTUS's kid?
Who?
Hunter?
Oh, yeah. Well, interesting analysis is that, there's a lot of
people sure are excited.
Smart lawyers around who say, these are charges that you never see anybody get charged for, particularly after you turn the money in for your taxes, you paid it off. It's way after the fact. Nobody, they don't have the time to prosecute that. They got their money back. And the felony firearm possession, which is undergoing probably, Fourth Amendment rights review, just crazy.
But like it highlights the left and the right media coverage, because I'm pretty sure the right is like blowing everything up like this is the biggest thing ever. Like, we got him.
No, actually, they're saying he's getting away scot-free. Slap on the cheek. The prosecutor was appointed by Trump, who prosecuted him in Delaware, all above the law, and treated him more harshly which he accepted. And Daddy's relieved. It's been reported that Joe, not surprisingly, talks to his son almost every day. He talks to him every day to encourage him. And so it isn't going to leave it alone. I mean, the Republicans doing the investigation said they're doing an investigation of what this is, and they say that this in no way will affect our investigation. It's like, whoa, wait a minute. Your investigation was about whether he didn't pay his taxes and that he had a gun thing, and both of those things are now resolved. So
this will no way affect.
That's it, right? Oh no, those are just examples of the kind of thing we mean, and then on and on and on. We're in a fascinating time where we've got a 76-year-old running against an 81-year-old, and people talk about Biden, as if close to death. I'll tell you, I think he's a little bit more fit than Fat Man Trump, than the big orange man, than the big balloon orange man. Oh my God, the man is enormous. He's got an ass. I mean, Jesus. He looks like Chris Christie with blonde fucking hair.
But he's got so much energy. He sounds so much younger. Well, I haven't heard him, to be honest. Gratefully, I haven't heard him speak.
You're right. He sounds like he's about
years.
11. So
there's that, yes.
Much younger.
Yeah, so I just went to foxnews.com, and the first story is the submarine, and the second one is Hunter Biden. So
bingo, bango.
We're doing it in the right order,
bro.
Yes,
I've been doing home care and a little bit of contract work. Mow the lawn. Got the lawn being watered.
mowing the lawn.
Mowing the lawn. That was a great song. Mowing the lawn.
Are you hoeing the lawn too, or just mowing?
Mowing the lawn. You can tell by the way my lawn is mowed. I'm a caretaker. I'm a mowing man. I water. There you go.
Yeah.
There we go. So it's hot today. Hot. 88 degrees in the sun in my back man's cave area out in my yard where I do my storage and my potting for my plants. It registered 110 in the sun.
Jesus.
And, in the shade, in the 90s.
That hot.
It's hot.
Hot in your man shed.
That's hot.
You're,
That sweat dribbling down your back of your nape of your neck and running down the back of your shirt and down and wetting your skivvies.
Mm-hmm. Skivvy
wet. Shorts are soaked through.
Skivvy wet and hot.
Working too hard. I avoid that like the plague. That wet, drippy sweat stuff. But yeah, it's been a pretty good week. Surgery on the home front went very well, as I may have mentioned. I think I did earlier, but so I don't know if I got watched some more war movies. So there's some stories there, of course. What was the last one we watched? Watched Platoon with Sam Berenger as the crazed.
Yeah, you said last week that you were condemned to watch more movies with with your father-in-law.
But then I went back and watched Oliver Stone's movie, Born on the 4th of July, which was 10 years earlier. It was amazing to me how it was the same actors, but so much younger. The same actors. And I could shout them out. I did. There were like 4 or 5 that I shouted out. My father-in-law's deaf, so I got to shout him out anyway. I think he can hear what I'm yelling. But if you're not looking at him, it's hard for him to know what you're saying, I guess. But
Right.
anyway,
I used to listen to a podcast that their whole gimmick was every week we're going to watch a war movie and talk about it. And
no kidding. Well,
it was there were three dudes. One was like an avid history buff, and the other two were like movie makers. And so they could talk about like the techniques and stuff being used in making the movies. And at the end of every episode, like when they started, they had collected like a spreadsheet of 100 war movies, and they kept adding to it because people kept suggesting other movies. And at the end of every episode, they would roll a like 200-sided die and pick the next movie that they're going to watch. And it was very, very interesting to to hear about all the different takes on war. And like if they did like 2 or 3 World War II movies in a row, they would like exclude those, so they would like switch around to different wars. But it was quite good. And
did you listen to the podcast in addition to watch the movie, or generally not watch the movie and just listen to the podcast?
Normally I would listen and not have watched the movie. A couple times they talked about movies that I had seen, and that was fine. But every couple times a year, I would hear about the next movie that was coming up and go and watch it before I listened to it. But regardless, it was entertaining to hear people talk about things like. God damn it! We talked about it. The Russian roulette, Vietnam, Deer Hunter.
Deer Hunter, yes. Yes.
Like that particular one was like I think I heard that episode before I watched it, but then I watched it and I listened to it again. But that kind of thing. And
just as a point of reference, I could not find Apocalypse Now when I did my search, but it's got to be held by, maybe by Netflix or something like that. But that is a war movie different from all war.
Yes. I think the first time I watched that in college, just, I guess for goofs, I took a film appreciation class where I was like, this is nonsense. We're just gonna sit around and watch movies. And it's true, we did sit around and watch movies, but then I had to write some reports about movies, which I think we've discussed about my Good Will Hunting report. But we watched. Our professor got Apocalypse Now on the super ultra wide film version of it, and we watched that, and holy shit, that is that is fucking filmmaking.
It's Robert Duvall in is to me his defining role. I mean,
Robert Duvall.
All other roles to be compared to his role.
Wait. Robert Duvall. No.
Yes. I love the smell of burning napalm in the morning.
That's not Robert Duvall.
Yeah, it is.
No, it isn't. It looks like him.
No, it's him.
No. No. You got Dennis Hopper, you got Marlon Brando.
Yeah.
Lawrence Fishburne, super young.
Young.
I mean, even Harrison Ford had a little cameo bit. Napalm in the morning quote. That's not. It fucking looks like him, but it's not. Kilgore. It is Robert Duvall. Wow. I stand corrected. Wow. I apologize.
Tempting
God.
my steel trap memory.
I did not make that connection.
Dun, da, 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 dun, da, 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 da,
I mean,
dun, da, 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 da. That's
yes, I know the Wagner. Like, you can't hear that anymore and not see the helicopters. But fuck, that's Duvall. Look at him, so young. All right, well, that's the show art for this episode. Wow.
told you.
God, I have to watch this again just to see that. That's wild. Yeah, so war movies are... It's such an interesting genre because they span so many wars, and they're so different, and they take on... like, there are some that are... Like this podcast I listen to, they watch some movies that were like Japanese movies from the Japanese point of view during World War II. And just how crazy and mind-shifting that was.
I'll bet. I'll bet it was.
But like, it's like every sports team thinks that, you know, God is on their side. Every side of the battle thinks that they are. But what I'm currently going through, we've discussed this before, I am sure of it. In June, welcome to June, we go through this thing where the teachers at my daughter's high school just like, the school season lasts until the end of June here. And I know in the States, lots of my Facebook peers, their kids are already done with school, but here school goes until June 29th or whatever. But the teachers have fucking checked out. Like, they just don't go to school.
Because they got vacation time saved up?
No.
Stuff like that?
It's not even that. Like, they've given the kids all the exams, and the excuse that I've heard is that they are going in separate classrooms to help the students that need special help to, like, finish.
Makes sense.
But that,
if true,
it would make sense. But my daughter says, yeah, but those kids don't even go either. So, like, none of the kids go, none of the teachers go. It's just like a free for all. Like, fuck this. It's over.
How many days?
I mean, starting
A week.
it's like a couple weeks.
Oh.
So and it's
why
just like,
do you send them to school, then why not just keep home?
We've stopped sending my daughter just to high school, which annoys the shit out of her brother, who still has to go to elementary school, where they also don't do shit. But it's just, I don't know. It's like way to model a work ethic for the young people. I don't know. It kind of blows my mind and irritates the shit out of me. But what you gonna do? Like, you can send your kid there, and there will be an adult that will sit there and babysit them for the whole time. But
Right.
But
Well, it is what it is.
That?
It sounds like accepted part of the school culture, which Probably not too many people really want a buck. I'm sure the children don't give a shit.
No.
They just as soon be freelance.
And the teachers,
teachers
give less
too.
of a shit. Yeah.
The only ones who might care are the parents who are too busy to change their schedules, so they just let them babysit.
But like some of the kids are like taking a bus to another town and then are just allowed to roam around in that other town.
That's not good.
Like at least with my kid, like she asked me a couple days ago, like, there are no teachers here. Can I just come home? And I was like, yeah, sure. And so she walked home. But if she was in another town and I didn't have a car available at the moment, it would just be like, yeah, roam around in this other town on your own.
Or stay in school.
Yeah, or stay in school. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, it's kind of a fucked up situation.
Yeah.
To
sounds like
quote a war movie. One of them. Fubar.
Well, all these systems, self-perpetuating systems, that the deficits are so obvious and so well researched and so well understood, and yet there's no connection between the science and the practitioner. There's nobody to say, let's make sure this applies. So as chaos ensues, it's a rut. It's the easier route. The easier route.
The rut route.
Puzzle, one-dimensional puzzle route. Here's a bunch of pieces of things you do, and all together that's complete. And it's not, because it's not human-centered. It's case-centered. And it should be human-centered case work, not case work with a humanistic attitude, but actually the other way around.
That's so deep, man.
Yeah, I know. It's hilarious, isn't it?
It's like the smell of reason in the morning.
So there's a music festival up the road from us, a blues festival in Marshall, Michigan, which is a gorgeous little town. About, I don't know, it's 45 minutes from here, but if I would go, I'd put my spouse in a wheelchair and we would go. She suggested it, but we'll see how it goes.
How are given your adaptation to your in-laws, I assume you have ramp powers you have ramp entry, exit to your house.
Ramp? No, actually we don't.
Just dunk down the stairs?
No, well, Nikki isn't going to go down the stairs for a long time. And if she goes Saturday, it'd be the first time. And Dan has a deck I built off the back for him to sit. So he doesn't, when he does need to go, he hangs onto the rail and walks down the stairs.
Okay.
And gets his stand-up wheelie cart, his walker, at the bottom of the stairs. And I built the deck with a handle that's like,
I've seen
Hercules would have trouble ripping this one apart, man.
Yeah.
Although the wood has started to dry, and I'm seeing a board is rising off in the air, and it's got to be controlled. I'm going to have to get my saws out and trim the board that's underneath it, because it won't let it go down. It's swelled up, dried out. It was swollen. It's drying out, so it's shrinking.
Here again with swollen wood in your deck picks.
Yes.
It's like, come on.
That's what I watch it. I watch the wood in the deck dry. I sit there and just,
dry. Little woody.
It's turning real yellow as it dries, and it's quite pretty. Lord knows I put enough screws in it. So I had a problem with the staircase, but I had a measurement wrong. I had to redo the staircase.
So we went for a hike this past weekend with a coworker of my wife's, who we really like, and at the end of the hike, he gave us some fruit from a tree that he has in his yard. Are you familiar with a fruit called loquat?
I might be. I'd have to see a picture. What's it look like?
It's they're sort of plum sized and they're yellow, and on the inside they have between 1 to 3 large little nut like pits, and they're super sweet, and they're so easy to eat because you can just you can throw the whole thing in your mouth and easily spit out the little pits, unlike a peach or a plum,
right.
where
more like a date.
where the meat sticks to the
more
pit.
like a date.
And yes,
sounds like a date actually.
Well,
sweet, I mean, with a pit.
If you asked her nicely, like, she might go out with you, but but yes, or you could go out with the loquat.
I guess I'd have to see a picture, but it's not what I was thinking. I immediately pictured an ugly fruit, which are the real knobby.
No, it's an ugly word. Loquat is a pretty, it's not a high quat. But I will send you and link in the show notes the Wikipedia article for loquat. It's a large evergreen shrub or tree grown commercially for its orange fruit or for its leaves, which are used to make herbal tea. Yeah, and they just have these large seeds. Anyway, he's got this tree where.
So what you're eating is the soft, sweet protection over the seed.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
So it's like it's a picture of apple, which is full of seeds, but instead of rotting and being not good, as it starts to deteriorate, it becomes great. Because that's what's happened to this. It's deteriorated to the point of being sweet gummy. It wasn't like that for a while. It was
when it's green, it's too sour.
Right.
But yeah.
But unlike an apple, it doesn't rot. It ripens.
Well, it does. They do fall off the tree and they bruise really easily. So you can't really pick one up off the ground and eat it. But anyway, it's Chinese in origin. Its name derives from the Cantonese lo and guat, meaning black orange.
Oh, black orange. That should be the name of a TV show.
Not to be confused with kumquats. That's a totally different creature.
Although they sound like they have similarities.
They have similar etymologically similarities, like
molecularly.
Etymological. The guat part is the same word in Chinese for both kumquat and loquat. But there you go. News.
Well, fascinating.
Thus closes our tree fruits summer corner. Welcome back. Hey, Dennis.
Hey.
Happy solstice, my man. Today's the solstice.
Oh, is it?
In fact, it was like 6 hours ago.
Well, what does that mean exactly?
The solstice is for the northern hemisphere, for the summer solstice, it's the longest day of the year. it is the time where, due to the angle of the rotation of the Earth related to the sun, we have more sunlight than any other day.
Well, and here is,
And it's often celebrated in Europe with like dances and burning of witches and things.
yeah.
And the winter solstice, you may have heard of, is a holiday that they rewrote the history to make it Jesus' birthday in December, where he was actually born in like summer, but whatever.
Oh, well, don't ever let the facts get in the way of a good story.
No, exactly. I try not to. So today is the summer solstice for the Northern Europeans and the winter solstice for the Southern Europeans. So
And I
for
wonder
all of our
where
listeners down there in Aussie land.
Where do we sit in that here in the western part of the Midwestern region?
Where do you sit? What? The Northern Hemisphere.
Relative to the solstice? Is it for us?
Northern Hemisphere. Yes. Yes. It's north versus south, not west versus east.
Okay. I thought you said Northern European for some reason.
No, Northern Europeans is where we burn witches and shit.
Oh.
You guys have lost that.
Of course. Of course.
Tradition. But yeah, we have bonfires. In the Scandinavians have crazy bonfire shit, and we do here in Spain too. Where we
I just flashed on something I didn't want to forget. Damian Lewis is coming back to Billions. I quit watching it when he left. I watched one episode after he left and did not continue it. And he's coming back. But I also thought of him because of war movies. We've talked about Band of Brothers, right?
Yes. I mean, yes, of course.
Oh, yeah.
What a fucking hero. Like, I don't think he'll ever do a better character than that one.
Well,
Witherspoon.
He's done some characters now. He's got a new spy movie coming out soon.
Yes, we've discussed this, and I've looked it up, and I've since forgotten.
But not yet. Not yet. But what he's doing in the meantime is he's walking off an elevator, walking into the offices of his rival, who skinned him alive and got his company for dirt in exchange for going to a non-extraditable country where he couldn't be charged for his crimes. Somehow he's back. Did you watch it?
I watched the first couple seasons, and we talked about it, but then because I don't have like actual Showtime, I have to like
find it.
I have to go and look for Showtime. It wasn't. I ran out of energy for
Billions
for that show, but
yeah, well, and you can tell how enamored I was that if just one character leaves, I give it up.
Indeed.
But some of it was a little slapsticky. Kind of, I mean, like caricatures of people. Damian Lewis can pull it off, but not too many other people can. The dude who played his number two, well, of course, let's not talk about Billions. You barely watched it. What else is out there? Something's going on. Something's coming on. What are we waiting for? New season of what? Oh,
yeah.
The Doers, eh?
We're waiting for what? Have you heard of this show called White Lotus?
I watched it and the first episode and thought it was slapsticky and not funny.
And so we're the same there. there are people whose opinions I respect that claim that it is actually quite good once you get into it. But it's on HBO, and it apparently stars, because I've been sending you these videos of actors on actors, on YouTube, and there was one. So the main thing that I finished this week was Ted Lasso, which is on Apple TV Plus. That
pretty well acclaimed bit of television.
It's freaking amazing. The last couple episodes, I got like 80% through the episode, and I was like, this is really hilarious comedy, but like I haven't cried yet. And then by the end of the episode, I was just fucking bawling because they're so fucking good at
kidding
at that. And
but it's over, right?
Yes,
One season?
It's all over. 3 seasons. 3 seasons.
Oh, 3 seasons.
And
3 seasons, huh?
Yeah, and they very clearly chose to end it because they did the Seinfeld thing of we're high as a kite, let's stop this right now, and what Ted Lasso had was an emotional salve during the pandemic. It was, we're all fucking stuck at home and life sucks, and here's a show that is not in a trite, laughable way, but in like a sincere way. Let's just be nice to each other kind of show that we as a culture had not seen in a while, if ever, to this level. And I mean, it's like Mr. Rogers, right? It's like if Mr. Rogers was an episodic TV show where like stuff happened.
What about the Woody Harrelson television series Chaps? About the bar.
Cheers.
Chaps.
That was well. When I was a kid and I watched Cheers, my parents let me watch Cheers, and I watched Cheers, and it was funny. But then when I was an adult and I watched Cheers, I was like, this is all fucking sexual innuendo.
Yeah.
Literally all of it was all about sex.
Right.
And I didn't, as a 9-year-old, I didn't get any of that, of course. But watching it later.
Who's the actress? Oh God,
Kirstie Alley.
Kirstie Alley is who I'm thinking of. She's had her ups and downs, particularly on the scale.
She's
died
down for good now. Yeah.
Yeah. She was. I always liked her a lot, no matter what her size.
I was a fan because, again, I was not really an adult yet. I enjoyed those Look Who's Talking movies where it was the baby was voiced by Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
Talking. Anyway, but yeah, Ted Lasso was this breath of love when we really needed it, and now that we don't so much anymore, I think it's good that they're going their own way. And it was just an amazing moment, and it will hold up. Like, I think if you don't see it for another 10 years and you watch it 10 years from now, I think it will still be as good.
Yeah.
Because it's just pure in the way that like the main character is like from the Midwest, and
Sudeikis.
yes, and he's like in the way that like Mormons are just like nice people.
Yeah.
In a way that like you want to be annoyed, but you can't really be because they're just actually nice. His character is very like that, and he just, the whole premise of the show was, let's just think the best of people, not the worst of people. And that premise is so foreign to literally all of us in this day and age that is kind of wild. But anyway, I won't talk anymore about that. But that's,
Well, I can't wait to see it.
you'll have to figure out how to get Apple TV Plus. You'll have to get one of your minion
I got
children.
these lists. I got these lists of things, but I'm working again, man. So I'm. It's been a whole new life, and I've discovered I've been this way for as long as I recall, where I'll sit at the keyboard for hour and a half at most, sit down having set a goal for the next hour I work before I leave, and I'll do something else for a half hour. I'll go out and,
Yep.
plant some plants or water the yard or do something, and then come back to it. And it actually helps me with my to-do list too, but that it means though that a 4-hour day, it takes 4 hours of work takes over 6 hours, and I was contemplating about what it would be like to go back full time. And I thought, man, that would, if I'm going to work that way, I'll have to be busy for 10 hours a day. Or even, and let's say laying down for a half hour is busy. Let's include that.
Oh yeah. I bill my employer for my half hour lay down.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what my previous employer was about, was being the most productive you can in the time that you have,
right.
And how you can schedule breaks and shit to maximize your mental acuity. Acuity. You're so acute. Anywho. I guess we'll see you next week, man. It's like,
why we've been talking a long time, haven't we?
Been a while.
Well,
I mean, unless you have other stories to tell me about.
Let's see.
Not the
no
weather.
Projects, just been watering the lawn, doing contract work, caring for the
missus,
caring for the injured and elderly,
the infirm.
But tonight, my son is here. He's on duty, so to speak. So I'm going to go down and listen to some blues. It's only once a month this little trio plays Out of Favor Boys, just the best blues band in town. And they got a duo or a trio. We have talked a lot about it.
Our listener has heard of mention of them.
Yes.
I will stop linking to them.
Yes. All right. Well, adios. I'll be a little late next week.
I heard you. If you want to do a freaking webinar instead of this.
No, that's not the case. Now, let's not get overly dramatic, shall we? You've not been spurned. Been asked
I will webinar you for the first half hour if you'd like. And here's my presentation of my slides about.
Oh, hey, listen. Let's just do a dual screen. You and I'll talk, and on the side I'll be listening to the webinar. We'll work it in. Yes,
because what I have too much of is your attention. So if we can divide that.
Oh yes, indeed. Well, I'd say au revoir, but I don't know for sure what it means. So I'll just say What is it?
Sayonara.
Arrivederci? Is that it?
Arrivederci.
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 Should I drop him? No, I don't.
Drop it.
that.
Drop it.
Just-
Like it's hot. Okay, that's it for episode number 187. You can find the show notes at happyhour.fm/187. Sadly, it seems that between the recording and the editing, the submarine has been found destroyed. So it goes. Look, you gotta take precautions when you do crazy shit like that. Anyway, patreon.com/happyhour. See you next week.